Chair, just so through the Minister, for Mr Dutton at the table, the question was about what capabilities do we have in Biosecurity Tasmania to assess oyster production, particularly for that food handling safe value chain.
Thank you.
That's good.
And Minister, through you, if I could. SureMap is the primary mechanism by which we regulate food safety in oysters, but it involves a matrix function between ourselves and Marine Resources running the SureMap program and Biosecurity, where we work very close with the primary produce safety lead and who's in Biosecurity. So there is a joint function here between Marine Resources and Biosecurity.
Through you, Chair, through the Minister. So is from that answer, is it a current decision that oyster production is being assessed through ShellMap? Because there had been some concerns that some oyster depuration tanks were unable to be assessed through Biosecurity Tasmania, and there was concerns about being able to approve such a facility to continue to provide oysters to market, and they were hoping that it would be specialist assessments being able to be done in ShellMap, but my understanding was that that wasn't happening.
Okay. Look, I think that with regard to the depuration, you have to accept that it's a pretty complex matter. It goes to the heart of food safety and public health, and there's also an intersect with the national guidelines that needs to be worked through as well. I was also a little concerned with the length of time that it was taking, but I've now been informed that a depuration and wet storage policy will actually be in place and be finalised by July of 2023, with a draft of this work available for consultation with industry in June. Current proponents have also been advised by the department that there are prerequisite requirements relating to statutory approvals under land use planning and building legislation, of course, managed by local council, and that needs to be addressed to form part of depuration or wet storage application under the Primary Produce Safety Act of 2011. I have requested as the highest priority the finalisation of a wet storage and depuration policy, and that the assessment of any current applications and supporting information is undertaken by the department while council approvals are forthcoming, so that these matters can be addressed expeditiously. I'll just see if the acting secretary, the deputy secretary,
I continue to be promoted. As long as Minister will pay me.
Put that in the bank, Ms Wilson.
Yes.
We'll get that.
Yes, that's fine. That's all right. So through you, Minister, so the ShellMap program is an integrated program in terms of food safety. So oyster safety is primarily managed under the Primary Produce Safety Act with the Chief Inspector Primary Produce Safety, who sits in Biosecurity Tasmania. Food safety programs are developed in partnership by Biosecurity Tasmania, and I say in partnership and sometimes with Department of Health engagement for the obvious reasons. This is around public health. In terms of the operational, then management of opening and closing of oyster areas and engagement with industry, that's where it sits with Marine Resources. You asked about resourcing. I believe that we've got 4 staff in ShellMap.
3.
Yep, 4 staff. We've got a program manager and 3 technical staff. This government has invested additional funds for that program manager over 4 years, and Ms Burrows can explain the resourcing that sits in Biosecurity Tasmania.
Through you, Minister. For food safety, we have 4 officers that are food safety management officers, and of course a chief inspector who's actively involved as well.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, just a final question on that one to the Minister. So you've said that you're developing a policy. The policy will be out by July. It'll be consulted in June. When do you see that the policy will be ready so that people can be assessed and actually start using their depuration tanks?
Through you, Minister. Our aim is to have it in place in July. The Obviously, though, we want to make sure that consultation period through this month and engagement with industry is done before we finalise. But the target is July, and the Minister and myself as Deputy Secretary have indicated to and requested the Chief Inspector Primary Produce Safety that as soon as that they start to consider applications in parallel, so that as soon as practicable after that policy is in place, the approvals can be made, noting that if there are any local government planning and other matters that need to be...
Come back next set. I've only got one final question, just to close it out.
Ms Finlay.
So if there's any local government planning that needs to be done,
You get one question.
that will need to be done, obviously, before people can commence their...
And you have the capacity to do the assessments at
Ms
the time.
Finlay. Thank you. Minister.